Praise the Lord. Welcome to the Front Runner Podcast. My name is Isaiah Marshall, and we have a very, very special guest today, my brother, Bryan DeCuir, and I've been knowing him for years, but I know him, and I want you all to get to know him, and I know that you all will be blessed by this discussion. Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Isaiah. How are you?
I'm doing good. So in this next segment, we call this don't stay in your lane.
Okay.
Don't stay in your lane. So my favorite race in track and field is the 800 meters, which is 2 times around an outdoor track, a 400-meter track. Love that race. And arguably, the most difficult race in track and field. But in this race, all the runners starts in their lane.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a point in that race where all the runners then have to merge into lane one.
Yeah.
We have to merge. And so the whole idea is when we merge into that lane one, we're trying to position ourselves to have a successful race. And for me, just again, this idea of the front runner, I like to go out in front. I like to lead out in front.
Yeah.
One, because it's like when we merge into lane one, there's a lot of jostling. There's a lot of elbowing. There's things going on, and I want to stay away from that.
Yeah.
But there's an uncomfortable time in that race that becomes uncomfortable when everyone has to merge, and then there's jostling for position, and you're trying to position yourself to be successful. So let's talk about moments where you chose to step out of your comfort zone to become the person you are today.
Yeah. So there's a couple times. I think one of the biggest is, my wife and I deciding to move thousands of miles really to a place where we didn't really know anybody. I mean, we knew her father was here, so my father was here, and same time when we left Los Angeles, her mother came with us, so her mom was going to be out here, but we were coming out here with a 5-month-old baby, and trying to figure out how this was all going to work. And so, that was uncomfortable. That was there was some time in there where it's sort of like when you start a new job, when you do something different, you don't exactly know what you're doing. You're sort of trying to figure it out. And I feel like that was my first, time here in Tennessee, is trying to figure out like who was I? Like you asked me at the beginning of this whole thing, who is Bryan DeCuir? Well, I was still trying to figure that out. But at the same time, when you're running a business, when you're talking to customers and clients and other stuff, it's, hey, you're in the driver's seat. People are coming to you.
Yes, sir.
And so you almost have to, I sort of hate the term like fake it till you make it. I really don't really like that much. I feel like there's too many different directions that can go and too many ways that can go wrong for people. But I do think on some level, you have to, I feel like you can combat that though, by saying, I don't know the answer to that question maybe. Or, hey, you know what? I don't know how to do that yet, but I will figure it out. And I feel confident that I can do it for you. So many times I'll use a lawyer reference, in the rules of, in the ethics rules for lawyers. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Lawyers are allowed to take any cases that they want to take. So I don't practice in criminal law, but if somebody came to me and had a criminal problem, I'm licensed and I'm able to go to court and I'm able to do that. The only rule ethically that I have is that I have to be able to do what's called zealously represent my client. And the way they define zealously represent my client is if you think by preparation, by study, by consulting with your associates or other people that you work with, that you can give a good representation to that client, then you're ethically allowed to do that. And so, one of the things that I feel like is you need to understand in regular life, I know lawyers have that ethical rule, but in regular life, any other person, you need to believe that about yourself is, hey, not can I do that right now, but with the amount of practice or with the amount of consultation or study or anything else,
yes, sir,
do I think that I could do that after I give myself the preparation time? It's going back to the athletic reference, the training, right? With a certain amount of training, could I compete at the highest levels?
Wow.
Well, yeah. If you believe that about yourself, then you're going to do it. You got to, I mean, that's part of the battle, but at the same time, it's not necessarily faking it till you make it, but I feel like you hold yourself out there. But you also have to be comfortable with the fact that you might not know the answers to all the questions at the beginning. And I think that people, at least my experience is that people respect you more when you're willing to say things like that, when you're willing to say, hey, you know what? I don't know, but I will figure that out. And I'll get you, like I said, I have all the best possible references and resources that are available at my fingertips. And I will get those answers for you, and I will be competent for you, So, I feel like, it's like getting off the subject a little bit of taking the risk on yourself and, getting out of your comfort zone. But I feel like that's part of it. Sometimes people are very uncomfortable with admitting that maybe they don't know something. They don't want to look like a fool. Yeah. And they don't want to look like, if you're holding yourself out as a quote unquote expert, I still tell people now, like, hey, you know what? I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I'm fine with that. I've been practicing for a long time, but I feel like it's genuine. I feel like people like genuine people. People like people who are honest about things. Yes, sir. And so that's why I don't like that fake it till you make it kind of mentality. Is if you can get comfortable with the fact that you're just in the beginning of your career, you're just starting something new, or even a question is being asked of you that you just have never encountered before. Wow. Yeah. Then you need to be able to say that. So that is getting out of your comfort zone, for sure. Yeah. And I think people respect that, because going back to the beginning of what I said is like talking about the human condition. Everyone has those moments and they can identify. So in order for me to make a connection with you, I have to be able to say like, hey, I'm going through the same thing you're going. I mean, I'm not saying this to you directly, but what I'm saying with my actions is you and I are the same. Mm-hmm. You and I are going through the same problems. And I think and the same issues and the same struggles and the same everything else. And the sooner that we can find that common ground, the better off it is for everyone.
Wow. That's good, man. There are moments in our lives where we have to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even that. It's not even get uncomfortable. It's like, you're not going to avoid it. I mean, that's what life's about.
You can't even avoid being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so you could try to, but what you're going to end up doing is shutting yourself in a room with no windows and not talking to anyone.
Yes.
And that's not going to get you through life.
No.
It's not going to get you what you want out of life, at least, I believe.
Man, that's good. That's powerful. I think that's a word for us. Yeah. I'm out front running all day.